Well, dear friends, over the past day and a half, we have considered the Buddha's teachings about the four nutriments of life. That is to say, the nutriment of food, the nutriment of contact, the nutriment of mental volition, and the nutriment of consciousness. The characteristic of these four factors is that they are with us throughout our existence as long as we are living sentient beings until the end of this life. Whether we are uninstructed, uninformed people who are swimming in greed, hatred, and delusion, or whether we have encountered the Dhamma and faithfully practicing, reflecting, and having the wish and the intention to practice according to the Buddha's teachings, whether we have gained the opening of the Dhamma eye and had a authentic a vision of what it would be like to be truly free, to be truly awake, to truly see things as they really are, and still on this path of training towards the gradual process of the purification of the mind, or even fully enlightened arahant who still has some karma left over, so that they are continuing to have a life, to be alive, breathing, eating, having contact through the senses, having intention, mental intention in the sense of doing things on purpose, and having that vijnana, that cognitive faculty. It's said in the sutta that the purpose of the reflection on the nutriments is to develop what's called Nibbāna, to become disillusioned or disenchanted with these processes. So these are the processes, again, they're sustaining conditions. So again and again and again, moment by moment by moment, these conditions continue to arise, and they continue to sustain the continuity of this life. And these conditions also come together at the moment of birth to, it says, to assist a being who is coming to be born. To be disenchanted or disillusioned, to have this Nibbāna, is a kind of a motion where one becomes able to walk away. The metaphor is the dog who has found a bone that's got maybe a little bit of a smear of blood on it. It smells like food, and then he would chew it and chew it and chew it, and eventually he's gotten all the nutriment out of it that's to be had, and he can't get any more out of that bone. The bone doesn't have anything left to give. And so he just drops it and walks away. When the Bodhisattva was on his journey before his awakening, and he studied with different teachers and mastered the teaching of those teachers, and realized that those systems of thought, those practices, did not lead to the final end of suffering. Then he became disillusioned with those teachings, and he walked away. He left those teachers to look elsewhere. So when we become disenchanted with these four kinds of process, then we're ready to walk away, ready to turn towards the deathless, ready to turn towards Nibbāna. Many of the metaphors, especially in the Sutta on the sun's flesh, has got these very terrifying metaphors about how living the life of a sentient being and being subjected to the constant necessity of taking food, of receiving sensory impressions, of forming intentions and then bearing the consequences of those karmic actions that one has done intentionally, and then having the knowing faculty which binds reality, binds our experience together and into objects, and which binds us to the world. Those are given in with these terrible, frightening metaphors. In a certain way, I wanted during this retreat to soften those metaphors a little bit, because the world is really frightening enough. The world is terrible enough right now. People could be in danger of falling into despair if they focus too much on that which is terrible. On another time and place, it could be that the world seems to be a comfortable, beautiful, abundant place which provides for the needs of the beings, that nature seems to be like a cornucopia, which is endlessly providing food, endlessly providing delight. And even though there are hardships and disasters, those seem to be kind of like temporary things that would happen once in a while. And so then in that kind of world, a person could become smug. Indeed, this is the reason why the Buddha taught these nutriments originally, was that the bhikkhus and the sangha were receiving very abundant alms food. The community was so faithful and so devoted to the monastic sangha. They always gave them enough and provided for them. And then the monks started to become lazy and self-satisfied. And they began to lose their urgency for awakening. because of their enjoyment of the comfort and security of the monastic life. When I was born in 1948. That was right after the war. And shortly after I was born, we got the 1950s. And as I understand it, that post-war period in the 1950s and the 1960s was a time of a lot of economic growth, that the world came out of the disaster of World War II. They come out of the shortages and the rationing and so on, which Maureen mentioned, how it was in the early recovery. And then the world began to become more and more abundant and safe and comfortable. And the world became fat. So at that time, then the kind of dukkha that people could know would be this ennui, this boredom, this kind of feeling, well, I've got everything, but I'm still not happy. Is this all there is? And a person like that, who's maybe just got a little bit of dissatisfaction, but they don't have enough motivation. A person like that needs to have these terrible, terrifying metaphors in order to realize how serious it really is, how painful the dukkha of the round is. At the same time that they would be able to see that there is a way out. There's a way to step away from this dog-eat-dog world. Again, in these times, we're back to a world where the like the destructive side of this world is very visible to us. And the session we had yesterday about karma, I thought was particularly poignant and powerful, and I felt in myself, in the group, the strength of this wish, this feeling so much harm has been done by the bad choices. And we just don't want to not make any more bad choices. We don't want to do any more harm. So this, what is this awakening? What is this stepping away? It seems to be in two parts. One is the end of craving. So in the meditation that I gave about the first and second, about the second and third noble truths, where does suffering arise when it arises? Where does it settle down? Where it settles down? And it's with the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue. It's with the process of forming, having a contact. It's in the process of feeling. It's in the process of forming intentions. It's in the process of even the process of taking nutriment, in the process of applied thought and sustained thought, which you could say is leading towards aspects of meditation, because those terms of thinking and examining is something that we do in meditation and contemplation. So then that's where craving arises, and wherever craving arises, that's where dukkha is. But then in this following reflection, where does craving cease? And craving ceases exactly in the same place. And so even with this poignant awareness that having the package of faculties and abilities and ways of living and ways of thinking that we inherited when we took this human birth, even having that package, that exactly the moment where one can take a wrong turn, reach out and grasp our objects, bind them to us with craving. It's exactly at that moment that we got the opportunity for waking up. We got the opportunity for not craving. We talked about several words or several themes that give us a feeling about what it would be like to live free from craving. We talked about like perfect contentment, to be able to be comfortable with whatever arises, not having an inclination to pull it towards us or push it away. And we talked about the practices of moderation, or the practices of, you could say, discipline or self-discipline or something, where we are aware of the danger with using these nutriments, and being aware of the danger, we're careful. So we're careful when taking food, not to allow greed to take over. We're careful not to be dominated by fear, anxiety, or any other kind of neurotic approach to eating and taking that nourishment. And we should likewise be careful, be heedful when we are experiencing sensory contact and the feeling that arises from that. So every time there's a pleasant feeling, we have an opportunity. We can go off to the races with papancha, with the proliferation of making up stories that feed into our desires and our aversions that can take us down the path of doing unskillful actions. We have that opportunity with every moment of sensory contact and the feeling that inevitably arises from that. But then we also have this fantastic opportunity just at that moment to let the feeling be just a feeling. So, and it's because of seeing the danger that we will become careful, to be mindful, to be aware, to notice clearly whenever that feeling arises. Then another idea that came along in this context is the idea of fully understanding the nutriment. And that this is the liberation by wisdom. So it wouldn't really be possible that the end of craving would happen without also having the end of delusion or the end of ignorance. So we need to have the arising of wisdom. We need to fully understand. The word for in this context, in the context of liberation, it's avidya is the taint or the pollution, the poison of ignorance. And vidya is the wisdom. So the very last thing that we could look forward to when we make that final breakthrough is this arising of this vidya, this true knowing things as they are. And vidya the ja in vidya or the gnya in jnana are both closely related letters. So it's all related to knowing. So when they talk about vijnana, that jnana is the knowing. When they talk about vidya, the ja is the knowing. There's another word that we see, especially in connection with the First Noble Truth with dukkha, and that's pajanati. That means fully understand, knowing it all around. And it is said that regarding the First Noble Truth, regarding dukkha should be fully understood. When it's fully understood, then it's very natural and normal to let go of craving. It's almost automatic to let go of craving if dukkha was really fully understood. And so this is another way in which this study of the four nutriments, which is just it's a version of what dukkha is and how dukkha operates. And so when we are a trainee who's on the path of training, who has not yet reached the goal, who still has some work to do, and we are blessed to have this human life, to be a sentient being who's alive, who has enough intelligence to be able to hear the Dhamma and have some comprehension of the Dhamma. We have the strength to be able to practice this path of training. And we've got a little bit of time left, at least the length of time for one in-breath and one out-breath. We've got some time left to do this work. And so seeing or experiencing the nutriments of life, which are always with us, every minute of being aware of the operation of the nutriments of life is a moment where we've got a chance to fully understand it. And if we do that, then it could be that the rest of our path of training would be, instead of something that's very challenging and difficult to do, that seems unnatural and abnormal, or something that seems even difficult to comprehend, instead, once we fully understand the nutriments, then the whole process of the training and the development of insight and tranquility is as natural as a river flowing down to the ocean. It's just that natural. It's just that inevitable. And so then the path of training that we do will not seem like we are going against nature, but it will seem like we are following along the stream of a different kind of nature. The natural capacity that a sentient being has for awakening. That's my reflection about this retreat, and I would be very pleased if those who are still here among us would be interested in giving some gift to your colleagues in meditation, give some blessing to them, give some thought of how these teachings can help us with the wish, how can I help myself with these teachings? How do I wish that my friends here in the room will be able to help themselves with these teachings? Or anything that one would wish to share as far as your closing thoughts, your benediction at the end of the formal part of this retreat. Those who are in the room also are allowed to speak. Actually, I think I'd like to call on those who are in the room. I'd like to call on the Bhikkhuni first. Venerable Dhamma is with us. Can you say one or two words? Appreciation or blessing? Just one or two. Not willing to speak? Seminary, would you be willing to speak?
Okay.
Could you kneel in there? That's a good one. So then we can see the seminary and the Buddha almost in the same screen.
May the seminary become a Buddha in this very life. I just want to thank you very much, IA, for a really beautiful teaching, a very beautiful, generous offering of Dhamma reflections for us to contemplate deeply. It is, just reminded of why the Buddha is recorded to have said to Venerable Ananda that the teachings of the Paticcasamuppada are profound and deep, because there's just this way in which we practice, and then we think we understand. We think we figured it out, and we have some successes, and then we go a little further down the path, and we trip over something that we didn't see, we didn't understand, that we didn't quite fully comprehend yet. So, I just keep getting more and more humbled, and more careful, more quiet, and looking inward, and I think more and more awe and more respect for the Buddha keeps coming, that he figured this out, and he could have just gone off and enjoyed the bliss of Nibbāna, but he took the time to try in 84,000 different ways to help us wake up. So I guess my wish for you, Aye, is long life, good health. May the Dhamma continue to flourish in your heart And may you have enough energy and strength and will to keep plumbing the depths of the teachings and keep sharing the teachings with us. And may we, all of us who were blessed to be a part of this retreat, may we take the teachings seriously, deeply, and just keep contemplating and reflecting again and again. You know, even when it seems like, we like in a boxing match, you keep swinging and keep throwing punches, but the other guy doesn't go down. Avijja doesn't quite go down. May we reflect on how little by little avijja doesn't cover the mind as much as it used to. You know, there are some openings, and may we take courage and delight in the capacity for that opening to continue until one day, hopefully in this life, all of us, every single one of us, realizes true peace. Thank you, Ayi.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
We have one other person in the room before Maureen. That's Anagarika Metakanti, who has just, at the beginning of this track of possible monastic life aspiration. Come up a little closer so that you can be in the same picture with the Buddha.
I guess my impression is that these teachings are like quite hardcore. So I'm impressed with everyone who has joined the retreat, especially the lay people. And I think like some of these teachings are the kind of teachings that when you hear them, you can't put them down, even if you go through life and you maybe have periods where you don't practice as much. Then some of these things kind of stick in your mind, and then you're almost like forced to get back to it. So that is what I'm thinking of right now. And of course, may everyone's practice take them all the way. That would be the best. Thank you.
Okay, Maureen, what would you like to tell us?
Well, oh dear. No, what the two previous speakers who could follow that. But I just want to say I got a bit bogged down, especially yesterday. But the talk made things so clear. I really want to appreciation for all the work you put in to deliver that talk. It was so valuable to me. Thank you. And I still, of course, I think of survival of the fittest. And actually, this, if we can get closer and closer to how the Buddha showed the way, that is a more fitting way to live on this planet for humans. And so I do like the way the science, and I always see the Buddha as the first neuroscientist. I wonder what he would have done with all the stuff that's out here now that humans have investigated and understood. But he did an amazing job in his own lifetime. But it's an ongoing job. It's every human has to be participating in reflecting what they do and how they interact in society with everybody else and all the other creatures and living things on the planet. But I just want to say, I thank you so much.
Okay.
I finished saying what I wanted to say.
I'm just trying to remove your spotlight so that you don't have to be there anymore. Now I'm going to bring up Damon.
Thank you. It has really been very, very enlightening, and grateful to you and also to the other retreatants. I think these teachings, like Maureen and the other commentators, it's so helpful for our individual liberation. On the other hand, I'm still, I guess, not unconvinced that we are also that these teachings should push us to aspiring to some kind of idealized world and society where there's no bad people, no bad human behavior. I think I can't see how Buddhism, it just seems to be about our individual liberation, and that's a good thing. But trying to change the world or change society, I don't see that in these teachings, although it seems to imply that perhaps that would be a goal. Maybe you could address that.
Well, a happy society sometimes happens for a few minutes. But that's not really the point.
Okay.
But to be good is also to be having a wish for the happiness of oneself and the happiness of others. And so that is definitely a part of this practice. It becomes a conundrum because we can't cause all the beings, we can't force all the beings to be happy. And nevertheless, our wish is that whatever we do shall be have that quality of non-cruelty, which is not bringing any harm to anyone.
Amen.
Okay. So now I'll go to Sheila.
Good morning, Aya. Good morning, Sangha. I want to say thank you. And also, this subject of the retreat, the nutriments, has been so profound. I'm reminded of a previous profound retreat that you led and taught, Destruction of the Taints. And I see the through line. And it's just, this retreat has really inspired me to, as seminary Satima said, to just slow down, be quiet, and sit with them, not in that negative way, be quiet, of course, but to really pause and be with the teachings and do so much more discernment. And I can say after this retreat and what I've noticed, I would just like to assure you that there have been so many, I can see little by little, step by step, steps towards letting go, the clinging, the grasping. And so many things just seem to come together in this retreat. Thank you.
I'll call on Rawanti.
So I want to acknowledge my gratitude for the teachings. The topic is very rich and deep, and I think until we realize Nibbāna, these things need to be contemplated and to be understood. So it is a topic that we need to come back over and over again. That's how I feel about the nutriments. So my immense gratitude for all the hard work that you do to bring this retreat to all of us. And I do really appreciate the participation of all our Dhamma. It is such an encouragement. Lastly, from the retreat, what I'm taking into my heart is to be more mindful about my actions, just like the other friends mentioned, to slow down and to be more mindful. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. There's a comment in the chat from Patipada. As the practice changes us, others around us change, as we make different choices to do no harm. Thank you, heart emoji Aya, for your kindness, Smiley, Anjali, in sharing your beautiful wisdom. You're welcome. Richard.
Thank you. I just wanted to address a point that Damon brought up about he doesn't see in Buddhism, how it's going to improve the world. And I hope I'm trying to explain it succinctly that, what he said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Buddha's teaching is that you need to attain the understanding of Sotapan. And when you attain the understanding of Sotapan, you achieve right view. And that right view is going to change in a very unbelievable way the way you see the universe. And so all these questions of is Buddhism really contributing to the betterment, of the world and all that kind of stuff? It's going to be seen in a completely different light. So one time, Ananda, I don't remember exactly what it was he was saying, but he was sort of talking about the troubles and the ills of the world to the Buddha, the things that people were doing, that weren't good and all that. And the Buddha replied to him that, it is only due to avidya, commonly translated as ignorance, Ananda. So what the Buddha is pointing out is that this is the beginning of dependent origination, right? That because we have incomplete knowledge, we're not seeing, the universe correctly. But as we develop our understanding, and this is the understanding of the Dhamma follower, it's the Dhamma follower that leads to Sotapan. And because as you get more and more and more into the Dharma, and there's many, many descriptions of this throughout the suttas, there's a whole process, visiting good people, Kalyan Mitras, good friends, and you want to listen to the Dharma, you begin to memorize the Dharma, in order to help you memorize the Dharma, you repeat the Dharma to yourself, then you start teaching it to others, because that also reinforces them yourself, and then eventually you get a breakthrough by wisdom or understanding into the Dharma, and that totally radically changes your view of everything. So, and then at that point, it's not that you have no more questions or anything like that. You may have some technical questions, but it's because you see that the Buddha is teaching the right way that you get complete confidence in the Buddha, complete confidence in his teaching of the Dharma, and complete confidence in the noble Sangha. Not all the members who might be just periphery members, although I'm not denigrating that, but that the noble Sangha is practicing in the right way because they've understood the noble teaching of the noble Buddha. So, so you see that, and so and you understand that the precepts are perfect and are not broken or muddled or something like, or just what's the word, cobbled together. They're not just cobbled together, and even though the Sotapan, it's described in the suttas, may break a precept to some extent or another, it's only because of force of previous habits and things like that, which he hasn't completely mastered yet, which comes along with moving along the path. But it's not that he doubts the precepts at all. He sees that, okay, the Buddha is showing us the correct way, of living, the correct way of existing. So there's a misunderstanding that there's the what do they call it? The faith or confidence follower and the Dharma follower in this lifetime will both attain to Sotapan. It is not that the confidence follower can jump ahead like that. The confidence follower has to become a Dharma follower. Okay, so that's why the Buddha says that in the beginning there's this I can't think of the word, but loving confidence follower. That's the very beginning of Buddhism. But it's not really a loving confidence follower. It's a loving follower that has some attraction to the Sangha and gives dana, okay, charity and everything. Buddha is really conflating those two together. The next is the confidence follower, and then there's the Dharma follower. But of the Dharma follower, there's two natures. One is a little more scholarly, so that's kind of like you might say the Dhamma follower, and one is a little more tendency towards confidence. But you have to get that understanding. You can't just leapfrog, through blind faith. This is what many religions of the world have, just blind faith. Well, we can't prove there's a God. You just, or Jesus existed or whatever. You just have to blindly have faith. And if you have that blind faith when you die, boom, St. Peter opens the gates, whatever, and then you go. No, Buddhism has nothing to do with blind faith like that. It has to do with understanding, and that understanding causes a revolution in your mind. That's why there's always the description given. It's like a cart that was upside down and is turned right up. It's like a person who's brought a torch, into the darkness, and made the light. And there's several descriptions like that. So it's that It's that understanding that arises in the mind that changes one's view. It radically changes one's view of the whole universe. And then all of these type of problems, like you might be thinking, well, how I don't see how Buddhism is like making the world as a whole better or something like that. All those thoughts become resolved with that experience. I hope this isn't considered a little off topic, but I'm just, it just struck me, that these type of doubts are existing, and it's okay, but there is a way to resolve these type of doubts, and that's by, fully understanding the Buddha's teaching, this preliminary understanding that you have to get in order to actually become a noble disciple, to step on the path and start, going forward from there. But other than that, yeah, it was a very wonderful experience. I really enjoyed all the talks and everything, and the guided meditations, and it was really, really nice. And I hope we can have a lot more of these. And I'm happy to see all the people here participating, and it just it's very nice. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you. Oh, and thank you to everyone for participating.
There's a comment here from Elizabeth. Thank you so much, Venerable, for sharing your wonderful wisdom, and everyone for your valuable contribution. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you all be happy, well, and achieve the ultimate liberation. I'm going to invite Shirley to offer her reflection, closing reflection or blessing.
Good morning, Aya. Good morning, Sangha. Thank you. It's always delightful to be here. Yeah, I did everything that everybody have said, just heartfelt gratitude for Aya's teaching, and of course for Buddha's teaching, and for the Sangha members to be there. That's always inspiring, and all the attendees, and yeah, appreciate everybody sharing. Yeah, just like a lot of other retreats, no matter whether it's long or short, at the end, I always have a little bit longing. Oh, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. That's a good desire. I have to say that's a wholesome desire. And I think the retreats always is a nutriment for the inspiration to practice more. And I really appreciate to have that opportunity. And I wish all sentient beings to be at peace, and everyone attending this retreat to see the fruit of their path. Yeah, may your practice come to fruition. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sharanya?
Good morning, Aya. I want to start off by saying I don't have enough words to express my appreciation for your teachings, to the point where any other Sangha that I participate in pales in comparison in terms of the understanding and learning that I have an opportunity to explore with you. So thank you so much. May you continue your good work forever. But I also wanted to recognize that when I am in joining you online, there's a certain clarity that I get that I lose in the rush of life. And so I'm beginning to recognize that for me to be able to progress further in the path, that I'm going to have to find ways of slowing down in any way that I possibly can. May not be able to do it as much as I want to because I'm caught very much in the lay life. But recognizing that I get so caught up in the rush of life and in the sensory overload and in the rush of the mind, that it's really, I think for me, slowing down is going to be the key to see if I can even take a step further in terms of my understanding and practice of the Dhamma. But I also wish everybody here who joined in the group the very best wishes in their own journey. Thank you so much. My appreciation to you and all of you here.
Okay, you're welcome, Sharanya. May you find more opportunities to take retreats or any other occasion to have a break from the busyness of life. And then after accumulating a certain amount of time that's away from the busyness of life, then it becomes possible, I think, to integrate and to gradually slow down, simplify, and maybe subtract a few things so that the daily life becomes a little bit less busy. I'm going to call on Nirmala.
Thank you, Aya. I just wanted to echo everybody's gratitude. So for me, I still have the thread. My visit to the monastery has been very recent. I want to thank the monastery for the generosity. Thank you, Aya, for this wonderful retreat to be able to continue the practice while transitioning to the lay life. It's not without challenges, it's not without confusion, but to have this opportunity to be in this retreat, to be able to keep up and not forget all that was learned has been a blessing. And so with that, I would like to thank the monastery. Thank you so much for all the hard work in sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us. And thank you to the Sangha for the support, for all the efforts and shares. I feel very blessed. Thank you. And I look forward to continuing the path with you.
Okay. Ananaya?
First of all, I echo gratitude and thanks to you for the mini retreat. And after your last sharing last night, that was 10 days worth of normal retreat time in what you were able to share and point out and direct for us in our practice. And I greatly appreciate that. And for those of us who have proximity to the monastery, that's really always an extra blessing. And if any others who don't live in the area have the opportunity, I would highly encourage you to do that at some point and see what this is, the monastics in action, I guess I could say. I find this particularly very pointed for myself, as I'm older and some health challenges and things of that sort, that you just can't get enough Dhamma direction. That's just what I feel that it boils down to. So thank you for providing this opportunity, and I really look forward to seeing how this all unfolds for you as well as the rest of us. Thank you.
Elaine.
Thank you so much for your tireless teachings and patience. And I think your message is really hopeful. gives us some control to see what transpires. In the past, my difficulty was blaming others. I can see how the root of the cause is craving, and it's my craving, and you've given me an opportunity to maybe catch that. Thank you so much.
Ruanti.
Thank you, Aya. I already offered my reflection towards the retreat. I just have a quick question. So after listening, I'm specifically talking about the first nutriment. So material food. After listening to the talks, I almost feels like that is a trap of Mara instead of something to rather than take delight in. So my question is like for the monastics, like people know like there are limits, like they would not offer food like if the monastic visits someone in their home in the evening also. But for us, like living in the lay life, like when, let's say when we visit someone, they would offer like snacks or food or as a act of generosity or welcoming. So on such an occasion, even if we don't need to eat as like a, we would be motivated to accept that offering. So on such an occasion, how should we maintain our attitude not to create more negative karma? I'm sorry if this may sound like a silly question, but I would really like your thoughts on this one.
Ruanti, first of all, I'll mention that there is a chance to continue the conversation. One could even, if you're on the mailing list and you've already gotten the notice about the upcoming programs for the week, we're having our 9 o'clock Sunday program at 9 o'clock in less than 2 hours from now. And then we're having a sutta study at 1 o'clock this afternoon, California time, considering the nutriments for the growth of the factors of awakening. And then we'll do something on Tuesday. And then this coming week, those who get our weekly email know about it. We're having an Uposatha Sila program, which is another day-long retreat. It's a bit more in a traditional format, and it's especially oriented to the families locally who are supporting us during this Vasa. So you don't have to feel that you need to ask all your questions and get them answered right now, because we're an ongoing community, and I appreciate the questions and the conversation. This is one reason why I don't cut it off. I think it's beneficial to everyone to hear real questions that real people have. As to the question about accepting food which might be given at the wrong time according to the vows that you have made for managing with food, and there's many other ways that especially those precepts that are the fundamental precepts are about not killing, not stealing, not harming. And if somebody says, well, we're going hunting and we want you to come and go hunting with us so we can kill some animals, I recommend not accepting that invitation because those first 4 precepts are fundamental. Then the precept about not drinking or using intoxicants, and then for those who take the opposite precepts, the extra precepts about not using a luxurious bed, limiting the amount of food, practicing celibacy for some period of time. Those are for the sake of supporting life by confronting the habits that we have for sensual pleasures. And in those cases, I recommend a balance of compassion and discipline. So if your friend would be so insulted if you didn't take a snack, you got to look with a lot of wisdom to see if there's some way to transcend or to show or demonstrate or to manifest the goodness and the happiness of the choice you're making with food, so that then they can, happily be accommodating to that and have an enjoyable conversation or an enjoyable event without feeling nervous or unhappy because you didn't take the food that they offered you. It might be possible on some occasion that out of compassion that one would take a snack that someone offers, or sometimes I hear that it's a wedding and it's the toast and everybody will feel bad if you didn't actually drink the champagne. I guess I'll have to say, you have to use these opportunities to test how much clarity you have with your own precepts. If you've undertaken a precept about not drinking and not using drugs, how clear are you about that? Is it something that you're just sort of going along with, or is it something that you really understand the value? And then you have to use your own discernment about that. So I'm not going to give you an absolute answer, but invite you to think that it is possible to, the way you live your life and the way you are is a kind of a Dhamma teaching. Richard mentioned about teaching the Dhamma to others as a way of growing in the Dhamma. So if you make a demonstration of happily upholding the precepts, that is a kind of a teaching, and it could have a powerful impact, even though it's not what other people are expecting. But it's up to you. I am aware of the time. And I think I'll make this like a last call. If there's anybody who hasn't spoken, who has got a blessing or a closing thought that they very much would like to share. And if not, I wish for all of us that we shall grow in the Dhamma, and that we shall find the right balance between strong discipline and kindness and acceptance towards ourselves and towards others, so that we don't be too slack and don't be too harsh, but instead practice joyfully with faith and with confidence. Hear the teachings of the Lord Buddha, take them seriously, take them to heart, and do our utmost to realize them in our own lives. So this concludes this retreat.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you.